Welcome into the Skinny Podcast. It's the weekly potpourri edition. I'm Richard Skinner, Local12.com digital sports columnist and editor with Rick Broering. As always, it's presented by Blake, the attorney Maislin. Rick, we're recording this after the Bengals practice on Thursday, so Thursday afternoon. And I got to tell you, kind of glad the rain came, kind of glad to not be outside. It was going to be an okay weather day. I don't complain about weather. I don't. Everybody else does. I mean, that's what we do. I got to tell you, man, these first few days of camp just have beat me down. The heat. It's beating other people. Like people are telling me, like, when did you go to bed last night? I stayed up for the Reds game. They'll go, I fell asleep at 9. I mean, it is more than people think. It really is. And this was. I can't imagine if they had not changed it from the afternoon times that they normally were.
Well, kudos to you, though, Skinny, because there was a picture floating around social media that people definitely appreciated of all the other soft, weak beat writers sitting on their expensive photographer stools that they have been talking about, and you just toughing it out, crisscross applesauce right there in front of Joe Burrow and his God.
Yeah, I don't need no fancy stool. I mean, I think now there's another person on the beat that's ordered it. I think there's going to be now 7 of the 10 people there on a normal day that will have a stool. I told them we ought to take a picture with them on the stools, and I'll sit in front, crisscross applesauce on the ground.
Yeah, it was beautiful picture, just perfect skinny gags at training camp. But there was actually a little bit of Bengals news this week. Actually, since we last recorded, there's been a lot of news because Jamar Stewart has gotten done. We'll talk about him in a little bit. But the big pressing news here as we're talking on Thursday is free agent tight end Noah Fant is signing with the Bengals. It broke earlier today, actually, here on Thursday, before you guys talked to Zach Taylor. So you got to talk to him about it. He spent the last 3 seasons with the Seahawks. Last season, he caught 48 passes for 500 yards with 1 touchdown. What was your initial thought on the acquisition? Where does he fit in here?
Yeah, so a couple of things. As we're recording this, they have not sent out an official release, so he's not officially signed yet. The reports are that he's going to and is in the process of. So I'm assuming it's going to come down. Zach really couldn't talk directly about him in some ways, but he said, I feel comfortable where we're at in the process. That was this morning, so I feels like it's going to get done. Does it make the tight end room better? Yeah, I know a couple of people are doing cartwheels about this, and it didn't move my needle a whole lot. I think he's an okay player, right? I mean, he has averaged about 50 catches a year. Last year, I think he had 48 for 500 yards and 1 touchdown. That smacks of second tight end to me. I think the one role he does fill is kind of the role that Eric All had of a kind of a do-everything tight end, be an inline blocker, be a serviceable receiver. I know Ben Baby asked about, you've kind of leaned into 11 personnel. What do you do now with all these multiple tight ends? And he said, well, we kind of still are. If Gesicki and, another tight end are on the field, we treat Mike as a receiver more than anything else. And that's what he is. He's tight end in name, but he's admittedly not a great inline blocker. He's way more receiver than that. So does it make your tight end room better? Yeah, I'd say it does. It fills the role that Eric All, I think, would have filled. Drew Sample has his niche role. Is Tanner Hudson become expendable because he's kind of a one-trick pony as a receiver? Does Cam Grandy become expendable because he's kind of a one-trick pony as a blocker? Do they lean, which way do they lean? One of those guys will probably be a practice squad guy. I'm guessing they'll carry 4 tight ends, Gesicki, Fant, Sample, and then whoever the 4th guy is. So, yeah, does it make your tight end room better? It does. I don't know if it moves the needle a ton on your offense. I mean, he's going to be – if he's on the field in any way, he's going to be a 5th option. I mean, he just is. I
think people still get excited about him because he was a first-round draft pick, and when he got into the league early, he did have that build of, like, big, athletic, has the measurables, and everyone's always looking for that next – who's the next Kelsey? Who's the next Gronk? Like that big time pass catcher with the crazy body and athleticism. Who can be that guy? And I think some people thought he may develop into that. It never really happened. The Seahawks paid him too much. So that's the one interesting thing about this is the Seahawks seem to love him. They didn't want to get rid of him. He was going to make too much money. They had to from a cap perspective. And so I don't think like you're getting a guy that's a malcontent or that the Seahawks didn't want anymore. They would have gladly kept him for the right price. That just wasn't going to happen for them.
Yeah, I mean, and again, did Joe Mixon have some life in him? He still did, but not at the price that the Bengals were going to have to pay him last year. So sometimes that becomes the deal of you just have reached too much of a price point that it's time to move in a different direction, and you move in a different direction. So that part's that part I get. And, he was on the street for long. He did have other teams he visited. He visited Miami, visited the Saints. And I don't know, maybe those teams didn't want him, or the price point wasn't right for them, or the fit for him maybe wasn't right. He visited last week, and it felt like, he came and went and didn't sign a contract, and probably nothing was going to happen, especially with other visits lined up. So it took me a little bit by surprise this morning when that news was announced.
Yeah, I mean, I think when people look at this team, they think, okay, the Bengals did everything they could in terms of getting Joe Burrow's his weapons, including in the tight end room. They brought back Mike Gesicki at a decent price for a guy who didn't do a ton. Like, he was solid last year, but he wasn't wowing anybody, I don't think. So when you look at this team, I think most people felt they need defensive help. If they're going to go out and make a signing, they're going to go add a veteran safety, perhaps. Was it surprising to see them add another pass catcher and offensive weapon for Joe Burrow?
Yeah, to some degree, because I do think you could have gone in this year and your tight end room would have been just fine with Gesicki, Sample, Hudson, and Cam Grandy. Now, maybe if Gesicki had gotten hurt, then you're looking around going, okay, well, who's our guy now? I mean, now if Gesicki gets hurt, you go back to probably just a 3-down tight end and Noah Fant, and go back to 11 personnel with a third wide receiver on the field more times than not. So I do think they've got a lot of flexibility. They can do a lot of 2 tight end stuff. They can do a lot of 2 tight end stuff with Gesicki flexed. They can go true 11 personnel at times with, Fant in the game with 3 wide receivers, or Gesicki even in the game with 3 wide receivers. I mean, you got a lot of flexibility. And listen, I think Eric All, if he was healthy, would have filled that role of, kind of do everything tight end, who can be on the field for 3 downs, who can inline block. I mean, he was a punisher when he would come in motion and run that trap block stuff, I mean, he just mauled people. And then you watch nice soft hands, and you saw run after the catch ability. Well, unfortunately, Eric, who knows how much he misses of the season, it's going to be a chunk, because he got hurt midway through last year, and you're talking about knee surgery. It's usually at least a year out, and this is a guy who's had multiple knee surgeries. So again, I'm not anti it. It's not going to cost you a lot of money, and it. Again, does it make your room better? Yeah, it does.
The big winners here are the media members. You just brought it up, but every media member's favorite thing to talk about, at least in Cincinnati, is 11 personnel or 12 personnel. They love you, because it's like a thing where it's like, I know what I'm talking about. I know the game. I'm using the secret lingo of the coaching staff here or whatever. So media types, for whatever reason, love saying 11 and 12 personnel. We're going to hear a lot of that talk over the next 2 weeks on the Bengals YouTubes and podcasts and Twitter sphere. It's going to be a lot of that talk. So
there you go. We just spilled the beans on it here.
Yeah, exactly. So ripping that Band-Aid off. Trey Hendrickson is now holding in, Skinny, after he reported to training camp on Wednesday. Why do you think he did this, and do you think it actually means anything in terms of the negotiations?
No, because that's where my mind first went. I mean, he made it a point that nothing has changed. Here's a couple thoughts on it. So he brought up that he was going to be here for the first day of camp. Wasn't going to practice, but was going to be here, and then things transpired. What I believe transpired is they were close before camp opened, and then all of a sudden they weren't close because of the whole Bengals balking of not paying guaranteed money after year 1. So he took his ball and went home to Florida, made it up. One thing he said, well, then news got out there of, dude, you put the news out there that you were in Florida.
You tweeted out, you loser.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Hate this guy.
What are you doing? I mean, nobody secretly found out that you're the one that said you're in Florida. You wanted to make a point of it. And here's the other thing I think. I truly believe this. I believe he finally realized, his agent probably said, bro, you're now up to $300,000 in fines. Do you want to keep the toll going, or do you want to just report? Because then the fines will stop. And I'm sure he went, wait a minute, what? I got to pay that money? And I want to tell people, this is not negotiable. This was agreed to in the NFLPA collective bargaining agreement. The guys who don't report to camp and hold out are subject to $50,000 fines a day. And the team can go, hey, we forgive you the fines. Now, can arguably you bake that money into a contract that you eventually agreed to? Sure, but you got to pay that fine money on top of the $100,000 plus he was fined for missing minicamp. And I don't know, there was a great story on ESPN last week about holdouts, and it took it from the perspective of a player, a coach having to deal with it, the agent having to deal with it, the front office having to deal with it. And the player they kind of highlighted was Walter Jones, the former offensive lineman. And I was thinking about this with Trey. I might have even said this on the podcast, that Trey's eventually going to look and go, wait a minute, I got to pay. I'm losing this money. Walter Jones literally said he looked in the paper one day and said, and it was a story of, so far Walter Jones has cost himself $4 million in game checks. And he's like, yeah, I am. Holy cow, I don't want to miss anymore. I'm going to sign. And I just wonder if that's the same thing with Trey. All right, all I have to do is show up, and this is going to stop, so I'll just show up. I'll give him credit. I think the smartest thing he did was get the talk out of the way on day one. Don't let it fester. There's nothing new to talk to him about until the contract is either done or we find out there's no resolution and he chooses to do whatever he chooses to do, go home, or just say, yeah, I'm going to have to play on the deal. I'll play on the deal. So I thought that was wise on his part. It was, again, a goofy, rambling 7 or 8 minutes, but I thought it was smart of him to do it.
This guy, Skinny, I mean, it's clear what happened here. It's exactly what you just said. He either came to realize that he actually does have to pay over $250,000 in fines right now, almost $500,000. It sounds like if you've added on another 100,000 from minicamp that he missed. So it's that combined with the fact that once he sent out his emo tweet and everyone got all excited about that picture and made a big deal out of it for 24 hours, he realized then training camp was going on and no one was talking about him nearly as much anymore because they're focused on training camp and Jamar Stewart and whatever else is going on. And people just kind of moved on and he was no longer the center of attention. So he comes back. Now he's the center of attention again. People are talking about the contract situation much more with him there than if he's down in Florida, and he doesn't have to pay the fines. I mean, it's a no-brainer move that you should hold in if you're going to hold in during a negotiation. It makes no sense to do what he originally did, but it's hilarious that he ever did the first thing in the first place, which is send out that silly tweet that says Florida and then act like magically the media found out that he had snuck down there to Florida. It's like, what are you doing, you idiot?
He wanted to make a point that I am holding out. I am going to be here in Florida. I'm not coming. I want to make, this is my, by the day he loses leverage, and that was I think I said that last week, he's got about 6 weeks left of leverage before he has to make the decision. Am I not going to get $1 million a game check? It's just shy of it. I'm using round numbers. I realize that people don't go crunch the numbers on me. It's about $1 million, close enough. Am I going to miss the game check? Or am I going to just say, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and play on this deal if we don't get an extension? I will say the one thing I thought was an interesting comment, and I don't think he's wrong, was he said, I do think we have a common goal of getting something done. And I do think there is a common goal. It's just not the commonality of where they are in the process.
Right. And I think everyone fully believes that Trey Hendrickson is going to end up playing and agreeing to something right at the start of the season. So again, why call? I know he's going to sign a contract for $40-ish million per year or whatever it's going to be. And so $250,000 isn't going to be that much, or $500,000 isn't going to be that much in fines, but it's still like brand new luxury cars, a house. I mean, like giving that money away for no reason is still stupid. And not many people are going to be enjoying that process.
And that's where I go back to him balking on this. And again, I don't blame him. It's a smarter thing to do to hold in. I mean, it just, again, just from the fine perspective, I think, you're there in camp every day. So everybody's still talking about you, at least, maybe not writing stories, but there's Trey and, I watched him today and, he made a point of working with the young guys. I do think that was important to him too. I do think he thinks, when he was mentored in New Orleans by a couple of guys, Cam Jordan among them, that it was helpful for his career. So I'll give him some of that. It gives him something to do as well. Keeps him involved, keeps him around the team, keeps him in meetings. All that stuff is important. But again, it's still going to come down to, if they can't come to common ground on contract, are you going to then have the guts to not play and not get a game check? And I think this shows that he's not.
He won't, but now the question becomes, do you think anything gets done before basically that first week? Because that's where I'm at this point. I think it's the first, if you're the Bengals, just wait till the first week. Don't budge an inch until then. Yeah,
I do. Because I think they'll come up a little bit. I honestly don't think they'll come up on the guaranteed money after year one. I do think, again, you can go back to a signing bonus and give them a bigger signing bonus that prorates it over whatever 3 years. I think they'll end up settling on 3 years. I think the third year of those 3 years, you're going to see the average value be probably in the $35 million range, but it's going to be because there's going to be a big base salary lumped into that third year of the contract. And if he's playing well, you're probably going to be more than willing to pay. But if suddenly he shows his age and the production isn't quite there, you can get out from underneath it because it's not guaranteed money. And I think that's a win for both sides.
Jamar Stewart. Let's talk about his situation, because basically right after we put last week's podcast out, I think it was the next day, his agent and him ended up resolving the contract dispute. He came into camp over the weekend and he's been working out this week. First of all, what were your thoughts on how the contract dispute worked out? Who do you think sort of gave in there?
Oh, Jamar's side blinked for sure. And I'll give you how they save face in a little bit of this, because the Bengals got to keep the language in the contract they wanted. So that was a big win for them, in my opinion. I mean, if you're him, or even if you're the Bengals, I mean, you're just Just ride the straight and narrow, man, and you're going to get your money, guy. I mean, that's the
Right.
bottom line to this. All right. What ended up happening, in my opinion, was Shamar went to the agent and said, I got to be. In fact, he even said, I came to the point I got to be there. I got to be there. Let's just get this done. Because the agent, I think, is the one that probably held most of this up. And then the agent said, listen, man, throw us some kind of bone. And the bone was, all right, you're due part of your signing bonus in December, $500,000. We'll just give you that up front. And okay, so he got an extra $500,000 up front. It was money he was going to get anyway. He just comes up front as opposed to in December. And so that's a semi-save face maneuver. And I will tell you, I mean, after day one, when we talked to him in the locker room, now he's just another player. And I shouldn't say just another player. He's just another guy out there. And now you're watching for him from a football perspective. But I think he realized, man, it's time. This standoff's going on long enough. If I'm going to have any kind of a career, get off to a good start in my career, I need to be there. And so here he is.
What is there to say about Jamar Stewart after seeing him for a few days in camp? Realizing that it's a few days of camp for a defensive lineman, there's probably not much to say.
I will say athletically, when really, he is freaky. I mean, there's just freaky traits. He made a point of it on day one. And so you watch him go up against Orlando Brown. And he said, man, when that dude gets his hands on you, and you could see it a couple of times, he tried to bull rush Orlando Brown. Not going to have that. I mean, he's very, very raw, not very refined in technique. But there were a couple of times there was a run play where he was on the left end and he got inside the tackle. It was a second team tackle. I think it was Devin Cochran. He got inside the tackle, I mean, in the blink of an eye. I mean, it was so fast. It was like, oh my gosh. Again, the guy whiffed to some degree, but Shamar made kind of a little move to get inside of him. So I'm in the red zone drill when they moved to the indoor facility because of the storm a couple of days ago, where he didn't really get a good rush, but he's so long, he just reached up and batted down 2 Jake Browning passes. I mean, Carlos Dunlap used to be great at that. Like if Carlos couldn't get to the quarterback, I mean, that one year, Carlos had 24 passes defense, which means that he actually got his hands up because he stood there at 6'6" with those long arms and batted balls down. So you can see the traits. I mean, the traits are sure there. I would say he's not embarrassed himself. He hasn't completely popped, but he's made some pop plays.
His agent, I believe, went on like some fans podcast after this, was trying to spin zone their story a little bit. Yeah. This guy is living up to the goofball moniker that we kind of gave him already. Do you think we've heard the last of Jamar Stewart's agent, or do you think there's going to be more coming from him?
I would suggest to him that on this next go round, if you have a successful first couple of 3 seasons in the NFL and you're leaning towards, that next contract, which is usually the big contract for a player, that you probably find some better representation.
That seems like some sound advice. Skinny, what else is there to tell us about training camp? I was looking through the reports. I was seeing some stuff. I mean, you get a little bit of the day-to-day, like, defense had a good day. Offense made some plays today. But other than that, it seems like it's kind of a quiet camp, which is mostly good because if it wasn't, we'd be talking about injuries, right?
It is and it isn't, because the defense has made plays and they let the offense know about it. And there's kind of a daily chirping back and forth, and we noticed it more the 2 times they've been in the indoor facility, maybe because we're closer to them and sound doesn't travel as much. But the defense has had some real pop moments. There was a low red zone one a couple 3 practices ago where they made a lot of plays. Today, DJ Turner, who was just simply dreadful yesterday, he looked like he was in quicksand, and whoever he was covering, he was 2 steps behind. Today, and he was going against the ones, he had 5 pass breakups. I mean, a lot of times in these camp practices, you don't get 5 pass breakups from an entire defensive unit. So the defense has popped. Jordan Battles had a good camp. Demetrius Knight's had a good camp. DJ Ivey's had a good. What
about Knight? Because it seems like his name keeps coming up a lot. Is he showing out here?
Yeah, I think. I just think and I went back to, I think I told you the story I did of how important it was for him, even though he hadn't signed his contract, to participate in spring practices. I think he took those practices and allowed him to hit this running. I mean, he is up to full speed, ready to go. He had a play today where it was a pass over the middle. It's kind of hard to see, but he deflected it, and Dax Hill intercepted it. Barrett Carter the other day in the red zone, the rookie linebacker, he got a hand on a ball, knocked it away. You had Josh Newton making an interception of Joe Burrow in the end zone in a 7-on-7 session. Cam Taylor-Britt, even though he's battling some hamstring issues at the moment, he had a really good play. They run this play at the goal line. You'll know what I'm talking about. It was actually one they ran for T. Higgins in the overtime of the Denver game. They run it for Chase a lot, where he just runs an out towards the pylon, and Burrow throws the ball literally probably almost out of bounds across the pylon. Jamar just reaches across. Well, Cam Taylor-Britt beat him to the spot, was able to dive and knock it away. I I've seen that play a billion times. Seems to never get stopped, and they found a way to stop it. So I got to be honest, they've been, their energy's really high on defense. Maybe it's because there's newness to it. New year, they're having some success at the moment. Again, I'll believe it when I see it in games and in real games that matter. But it's not like the offense is just destroying them. And if they were, you just go, well, this is a really good offense. You would expect it. They're going against a really good offense and doing some good things.
And you'd much rather see that from the defense than not. I mean, that's a good thing, not a bad thing. I'm not criticizing it. I do think they have more urgency right now. You've got a new coordinator. You've got a group that everyone's questioning. Whereas on the offense, you can pretty well understand, like, we're fine when the lights turn on. We just got to make sure we're doing all our work, getting everything installed, getting guys where they need to be, figuring out a few parts here and there. So I could see from a coaching staff perspective that a little more urgency to look good on defense right now than there is to be fully up to speed on offense. But I do wonder if you've got all this chirping going on and there are some legitimate plays being made by the defense, if Joe and Jamar and T and some of those guys aren't going to get a little pissed off here over the next few days and start firing back next week.
In fact, the one play that I just mentioned, the Cam Taylor-Britt play, came right after a play where Jordan Battle broke up a pass intended for Chase in the end zone, and Jamar said something to him. I couldn't tell, but you could tell what Jordan said. Just catch the ball. Just catch the ball. Just catch the ball. Just catch the ball. And I'm like, okay, they're coming right back to him, which they did. And then Cam makes a play on him. So, I think they're trying to bring some juice for each other. Saw Jamar today. Again, it was a breakup. I can't remember who it was. And he's walking back to the huddle, and there's 3 DBs literally right around him. You could tell they're chirping. He takes his arm, and I wouldn't say it was playful, but it also wasn't, I'm going to fight you. He just kind of shoved them away, like, get off my back, get away from me. So I think that stuff's good in camp.
Yeah, we need that. That takes me back to the Chad Johnson versus Justin Smith days of training camp at Georgetown. It's like you need a little bit of friendly chirping going on where guys are joking, but also everybody's tired of hearing Chad's mouth. So we're going to go make plays as a result of that. So hopefully we'll get a little bit of that to hear about next week. And then we'll be into games. Well, preseason games starting next Friday. So
1 week from today.
Yeah. Or Thursday. Yeah, that's right. The Reds, Skinny. The Reds are 4-2 since we last talked. They swept the Rays and then lost 2 of 3 to the Dodgers. They're now 57-52 overall, 7.5 games back of the Brewers in the NL Central, and 3 behind the Padres for the NL's wildcard spot. They made a pair of trades on Wednesday, so we actually have some news to talk about here with the Reds. First one was with the Pirates. They got third baseman Cabrian Hayes, who's a Gold Glove defender with a .236 average this year. He's under contract through 2029, which is the interesting part of that trade. The Reds are going to be paying him a little bit. The Pirates received reliever Taylor Rogers and shortstop prospect Sammy Stafura. Then the Reds traded with the Rays for pitcher Zach Littell. He has a .358 ERA and 22 starts this season. He's also given up the most home runs in Major League Baseball. The Rays got a couple of minor league pitchers from the Reds. Skinny, what did these trades mean for Cincinnati?
I like the Zach Littell trade because he can also relieve, and I wonder, who becomes the odd man out at some point? Does Nick Martinez go back to that relief role, or does Littell go to the bullpen? I know, and I did the same. As soon as you look him up, you look up his numbers, and you see on baseballreference.com the home run total is in black, where everything else is kind of in regular type. The black means you lead the league, and that's not a category you'd like, especially coming in a home run friendly Great American Ballpark. But then you marry the ERA with the home runs, and it's a guy who gives up probably some solo home runs. And I'm not against that. I mean, Tom Browning gave up home runs. Go look him up, kids. He's a Hall of Famer. Robin Roberts, back in the 50s and 60s, pitched for the Phillies. I think almost every year led Major League Baseball in home runs allowed, and yet he was one of the best pitchers in his era. He didn't care. He was going to throw strikes, and occasionally you're going to hit one out of the ballpark. And so I like that one. The Cabrian Hayes one, I just don't know. I know you're trying to get better defensively, and you're trying to get better defensively at that position, but he does nothing with the bat. And I think this team needed a bat more than defense. And maybe I'm going to be proven wrong. Maybe he wins 3 games because of his defense. I hope so, because he ain't going to win any with his bat. Now, I will tell you this, interesting stat. Other than his home ballpark in Pittsburgh, the second most home runs he's hit in his career is at Great American Ballpark. It's 4. It's not many, but it's the second best ballpark for him.
Okay, so that's where I went when I heard this news. It's like, okay, why would they do this? Because everyone's saying the Reds need a bat, the Reds need a bat, the Reds need a bat. they go out and they get a defensive third baseman who's a very light hitting player. What is the thought, especially one who's not just like, he's not like a short-term replacement. This is a guy you've got through 2029 right now. If you're not trying to flip him immediately, then what was the thought process here? And the only thing I can get to is what your point is, they see something maybe analytically, maybe with his performance at Great American Ballpark, that like they feel like a change of scenery can rejuvenate his career, because he was once highly thought of.
And the other part, right, we've been talking about getting a right-handed hitting outfield bat, correct? And
yes.
You know, they did the preemptive strike to some degree of starting to work Noelvi Marte into the outfield. And maybe that's the long-term plan of, you know what, we're gonna sacrifice offense at third for defense. And Noelvi, unfortunately, wasn't giving us what we wanted defensively at third base, but we still are high on his bat. Let's put him in the outfield. And there's our right-handed hitting outfield bat. So you do strengthen yourself significantly defensively at third base. I mean, his OPS this year is actually worse than Santiago Espinal. Now, he's obviously Espinal's a good fielder, but again, Ke'Bryan Hayes is a Gold Glover.
He's legit on that side. Yeah, there's no question.
Correct. And so maybe the preemptive strike was, let's see what Noelvi looks like in the outfield. There's our outfield bat. And now I think the two choices at third base were either to trade for Eugenio Suarez or trade for Ke'Bryan Hayes. And Suarez was probably too rich for the blood and wasn't going to work out. And so Ke'Bryan Hayes was something of a default plan, but we made ourselves better defensively, and now putting Noelvi in the outfield gives us our right-handed hitting outfield bat.
Okay, so they made themselves better defensively. We can definitely say that. I don't care to argue too much about that. But like, do you think they're better as a team if you insert Ke'Bryan Hayes into the lineup? Because here's the thing. My question was, can you score more runs? Can you be more consistent offensively? And he would suggest that you might be even worse offensively if he's in your lineup now. So I'm a little torn on that part of it, Skinny.
Yeah, I just don't know. I mean, were there just not enough right-handed hitting outfield bats to say, let's go in that direction and keep Noelvi at third base and just live with whatever we're going to get defensively for him? And maybe, again, that's where they looked around going, the landscape just isn't there. I mean, look, he's athletic. Let's try him there. And now we got to replace our third baseman. I will say, and I know prospects are prospects until they're not, right? I mean, there's or suspects until they're not. But Sammy Stafford is a good player. I mean, he was a second-round pick 2 years ago. He's got an over 800 OPS at Daytona. He was probably on track to be a double-A player next year, maybe even double-A, triple-A, and not too far, probably pushing from the majors. What does this do now to Sal Stewart? What does this do now to Cam Collier at some point? Because to the point of it, you've got Ke'Bryan Hayes locked up through 2029.
That's the biggest question I have about this. The long-term play, the fact that it's a pretty good chunk of money here, Skinny. I mean, we just got through the Jamer Candelario thing that didn't work out, and it was clear like, hey, that was a bad risk for the Reds to be taking. Why go after this long-term spot? This doesn't seem like a long-term guy that you want to commit yourself to. This seems like, okay, maybe he could work out and help you out here, maybe not, because you have a short-term deficiency in the outfield. You can move some guys around, what have you. But long-term, why does this make sense? I
can't give you an answer to that, because to me, that would have been probably the trump card of, I'm not going to do it, of, if he's not going to hit over the next 4 years, is his defense really going to make up for that? And
the
again,
Pirates are in a similar market, right?
Yes.
They are very happy that the Reds just took Ke'Bryan Hayes' contract off their hands. They're worried about his back. They don't feel like he can produce enough. They're happy about this deal. So I don't understand why the Reds would be excited about it.
Again, I just think that they decided that Marte to the outfield was their outfield bat answer, and they needed a third baseman, and here he is. I would have told you if he was under contract through the end of next year, I'd have gone, okay. But yeah, the 2029 goes, I mean, he's now part of your core.
The other guy, Littell, the pitcher that they've added, it feels sort of like the opposite situation with him, whereas I'm like, okay, this makes some sense. I can definitely see where you have a need here. You can fit him in. The only concern I have about him is he's given up the most home runs in Major League Baseball. Did you look at the fit at Great American all, and did that worry you when you were making this deal?
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know the dimensions, the minor, because don't forget they're also playing in a minor league ballpark, the Rays this year, because their stadium got destroyed by a storm. I mean, are the dimensions in that minor league ballpark smaller? I honestly don't know the answer to that. And if they are, then maybe that's why he's given up the most home runs. Yeah,
true. He's pitched in Chase Burns is the other factor in this equation, obviously, because at some point they're going to have to make a decision about shutting him down, moving into the bullpen, what have you. he went 5 2/3 innings against the Dodgers on Monday. He allowed 6 hits, walked 1, and struck out 10 batters. He's now just the second pitcher in the last 40 years with 3 straight games of 10 plus strikeouts at age 22 or younger. He's pitched in 6 games. He's 0-3 with a 6.26 ERA through 27 plus innings pitched, 45 strikeouts to just 12 walks. What do you make out of what we've seen from Chase Burns to this point? For big picture, do you think that we've seen enough, like he's doing things with his stuff that he's going to figure it out and he's going to be really good? Is that where you're kind of at on him now? Or do you feel like this is still up in the air with him?
I don't think it's up in the air because his stuff is just too good. I think it's a young pitcher who's going to have to figure it out. I mean, the walks are in relationship to strikeouts are not high, but it's 12 walks in 27 innings. That's probably a number that needs to come down. He's given up some long balls. I know, the Dodgers knocked him around a little bit to knock him out of the box, but I mean, if you took that crazy 1/3 of an inning out of the ERA mix in Boston, what's his ERA? It's probably under 4, if I would guess. So it's kind of 1/3 of an innings inflated that. No, I mean, his stuff's electric. It's like, you see electric stuff sometimes that it still takes you a little bit of time. It took Hunter Green some time to figure it out, right? I mean, He went from just being a thrower to a pitcher. And
I think it's possible that, it's definitely possible that Chase Burns won't figure it out. He's just a hard thrower and it won't come around. But when you see him doing 10 plus strikeouts, 3 straight starts, this is pretty impressive stuff. Yeah. His ball has a lot of action on it. I think he will be at least a solid middle of the rotation pitcher at some point for you that can give you, like Homer Bailey type outings where he has those flash nights where he's amazing sometimes and then he goes back and forth up and down a little bit the rest of the time. We'll see how it works out, but you get the feeling that he's going to be good at some point. Now the question is, in the short term for Chase Burns, now that you added Littell, how does that play itself out? Do you feel more confident to move him to the bullpen now and keep Littell in the rotation or vice versa?
No, I think there's an innings plan for Chase Burns that at some point it's going to get shut down. It was going to get shut down anyway. I mean, I just do. And so
you just let him make his starts until you hit that point, basically?
Correct.
And then what do you think? Do you think Littell goes to the bullpen temporarily, or do you think he moves Martinez to the bullpen temporarily?
That's a great question. I mean, Nick Martinez, it feels like every time he's about to be, you feel like you want to dip out on him as a starter, he comes up with a good start. Right, and then it's all of a sudden it's not. I mean, there are choices, right? That's the good part. And there's going to be more choices if Hunter Green makes it back at some point.
I know people have brought it up with Chase Burns since he made his first start. We've talked about it on this podcast. I can't get over the fact of the strikeout totals, the stuff he has, making him really valuable in short-term relief right now without having to figure it all out. Like, is there any chance you just say, like, we need to win right now? We do this because it's best for the team.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I guess you got choices to make. I mean, if you think that's going to slow his growth and you just want to see him develop as a starter, get through the second time of the order, all those things, I think you keep him where he's at. But I do think there's going to be an innings limitation at some point that, Zach Littell gives you the flexibility because he's been a bullpen guy. Nick Martinez gives you flexibility. Kind of dipped out on Brady Singer for a little bit too, right? Like, I mean, he's had some rough patches, leading up to his last start. And so, again, you've got choices now. I think there's nothing wrong with that.
Any other thoughts on the Reds before we switch gears here?
No, I mean, listen, I'm not all in on the Key Brian Hayes move. I do think they had to get better defensively, and I guess especially at that spot. And again, if Marte works out in the outfield, maybe that's your answer to your right-handed bat. I do think they're in at least the wild card race to stay. I mean, they keep pulling the whole, like sweep a series and lose the first 2 to the Dodgers, and both of those were winnable games, right? I mean, especially game 2 should have been a win, and then they sucked it up and won game 3. I'm just waiting for that 5-game winning streak that kind of puts them over the top, and then you're right there, and all you're really worried about is just winning series.
I don't know if that'll happen, but to their credit, I know it's become a little bit of a joke, but them not getting swept, I mean, them avoiding those bad stretches has been big this year. And it does feel like the farther along, okay, we're in training camp, we're moving through training camp, we've gotten through the Bengals jokes. Like, you might be right. They might be in this wild card race till the end here. And that at least makes it more fun.
No question.
All right, let's switch gears to a quick check-in on college basketball around the area. Local college basketball teams all just wrapped up summer workouts. They'll get back to it in mid to late August when school starts. Over at Xavier, things are super quiet. I mean, they've got an entirely new roster, a new coach, but they don't want anyone talking about them. It doesn't seem like they're not doing much recruiting. They don't, they're getting picked like second last in the Big East by most prognosticators, and it's just dead silent over there on Victory Parkway. I've talked to some people, but I mean, they're just really not saying much. It's kind of like what we've said from the start of them acquiring this team is what it is right now. NKU is still waiting to hear on Sam Vinson. They're still waiting to get 2 international recruits in at the start of school. So they've still got a bit up in the air. I think they had a good summer. I was over there a lot and saw a lot of their workouts. Kentucky is tied for 4th best odds to win it all, according to FanDuel. Otega Oweh being back is obviously huge for them, but they've got a loaded roster with a lot of depth this year. And I think you get a couple of those pieces to work out, especially the younger guys. And you're really looking at a team that could be in for something special.
And so when I'm driving to practice in the morning, I listen a lot to 6:30 out of Lexington, which is the flagship station for UK sports. Tom Leach hosts the show from 8 to 9, the voice of Kentucky basketball. And everybody that he talks to, the guy that people are so high on is Trent Noah.
Yeah, I keep hearing that too. And we talked a little bit about it. Like you could kind of see him coming on last year. Yeah.
Well, him and Colin Chandler both. I mean, I think there were times I would scream at the TV, get his ass off the floor. He can't play. And then late in the year, like, oh, okay, the light bulb's going on a little bit here. And apparently it's continued to go on throughout the summer, through the spring and the summer.
Yeah, I've been seeing that as well. But then the big news comes in Cincinnati, Skinny, where it sounds like Gizzell James is off of UC's team. I mean, there's no official word, but there was this weird situation on Instagram where he posted direct messages with his agent where he was telling his agent, get me out of here. I'll go to the G League if I have to. His agent was telling him, no, you need to stay there. Then the next day he's posting pictures of him in a Georgia jersey saying he's making a visit to Georgia. All of it's been wiped from his account. They've gone silent. The people around UC, the Mo Eggers, the Chad Brendels of the world who cover the team are just saying like, they hope Gizzell is okay. It seems like there's maybe a mental health situation going on there, which, you hope it all works out for the kid, obviously. But for what we're talking about here, UC's basketball team, this seems like a really bad situation for Wes Miller in a do or die year.
Yeah. I mean, you're arguably your best player. You don't know if you can count on him.
We don't know if he's on. I mean, I think Wes probably has an idea, but we feel like he's probably not on the team, right?
Well, from what I understand, he wasn't kicked off the team. I don't know what that means other than he was not kicked off. I mean, that doesn't mean he couldn't leave of his own volition, right? This has been a weird situation because there really hasn't been a lot of reporting on it other than, whispers here and whispers there. It's certainly strange. I mean, the social media stuff that he put out there was extraordinarily odd. That part is a given. But I mean, let's just say he's going through something. If he is, I hope all the power to him to hopefully rectify things. But then from a basketball perspective, are you going to be able to count on that guy? I mean, posting pictures with another school's uniform on, I mean, that sounds just odd to me. And correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, he doesn't get a free transfer at this point, right? He would have to sit out or no?
No, I mean, he can't go in the portal. The portal's closed.
Right.
Yeah. So no, he can't just transfer. Yeah. He would have to, the G League is right. I mean, he would probably have to go in the G League and just play for some random like Canton Charge or whatever and make 40,000 or whatever you make doing that. He'll lose a ton of money. I mean, he's probably over $1 million in NIL deals this year to play at UC. They spent a lot of money to try to retain him the last 2 seasons. Skinny, think about, here's the thing. I've heard, your point about he hasn't been kicked off the team. I've heard people say that. It seems like, that's Wes Miller's way of leaving the door open to try to convince him to come back and get back on track. But even if you're able to do that, think about being a teammate that's on like you saw what he posted on Instagram where he was wanting out and begging to get out of Cincinnati. Okay, I understand you have your issues, but you don't want to be here with us. You're clearly not our guy. You're clearly not our teammate. You don't have our back. So I just don't understand how you come back from that and what it would do for UC's locker room if he is here. And by the way, look at how last year went late in the season. And now you think back to who the leaders of that team were, Gizzell James and Dan Skillings.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like they had the strongest leadership in the world last season.
No, it's a bizarre situation. Again, if it's something he's dealing with from a mental health perspective, I hope he gets the help that he needs. If that's what it is. No, I don't know that.
For sure. But that it's a weird thing we have going on now because we have this social media world and crashing out is like a term in our culture where people like to show their mental health episodes and make it like content now. So I don't think you just get to say like, I was struggling with mental health, so everything I did is now deleted, or I don't have any standards for how I act out in public. You posted the stuff you posted about wanting out of Cincinnati. That doesn't go away regardless of what you're dealing with.
I mean, dude, posting yourself in the Georgia uniform is wild.
it's why, and the fact that we're still like debating about what's going on here, is he on the team or not, is pretty crazy. I mean, just feels a little weak right now from Wes Miller, I would say. We've talked about the lack of a backbone before. If you're still trying to keep this guy on your roster, I understand you feel like you need him talent-wise, but man, he's just thrown everyone in your program under the bus over the last week.
Yeah, it's odd, no doubt.
Yeah, and by the way, everyone also knows he's making more than them.
Oh yeah, there's a dynamic there too.
A huge dynamic to that. You mean the guy that doesn't do anything right, not showing up for stuff the way he's supposed to, acting like he wants to go play for Georgia, is going to make more than me this year when I'm busting my ass and everything? I don't know who's going to deal with that real well. All right, that's all we got on the college basketball things. Big news there out of Cincinnati, though. I mean, that's going to be something to keep an eye on. It could really influence what we talk about this entire season. So let's get into some Ask Skinny Anything. We'll start off with, is Wayne Krivsky the best GM in Cincinnati over the last 30 years? Why didn't he ever get another job after building the majority of the 2010 to 2014 Reds? That's
a great question, because I thought Wayne was a good general manager. I did. I thought he made good moves. I thought I thought he was a good GM. That does.
Is he the best in Cincinnati over the last 30 years? Sport agnostic?
Yeah, because I mean, if you go through the rest of the guy, I mean, Jim Bowden was a clown. Nick Kroll's a bit of a clown. Dick Williams really didn't do a whole lot for me. Who am I missing in here? I'm missing
Duke Tobin.
Well, yeah, Duke Tobin, the de facto GM, who still doesn't have the title of GM, by the way.
And who's the Bengals de facto GM before that? Mike Brown, basically?
Mike Brown, basically, yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, I have to say this guy's probably right.
I'll go Wayne Krivsky. I like it.
Okay. What sports teams did Skinny hate growing up?
Hate's a strong word.
Yeah, but you got to have some irrational hatred in you when you were a kid, right?
I don't think I did. Like, I hated the Steelers as a kid growing up in the mid-'70s, but I could at least acknowledge their greatness. Like, they were great. I mean, they didn't have a single weakness, in my opinion. Like, their front four was great. Linebackers were great. Corners were great. The quarterback was a Hall of Famer. The running backs were great. The two wide receivers, John Stallworth and Lynn Swan, they were great. Their offensive line was great. You can acknowledge greatness. But I hated them because it always felt like the Bengals were like the second or third best team maybe in the NFL, and unfortunately they had to play the Steelers twice a year and couldn't beat them very often.
Well, then that would be a good that's a team you would hate then. Like for me, it would be the Cowboys. The Cowboys were really good during my childhood. They were America's team. Everyone liked them, so their fans were obnoxious. They always won. Yeah, of course, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, all those guys were good, but I hated them because they were just always popular, and they weren't my team. So them and the Steelers would be mine too.
And for full disclosure, in that same era was the Big Red Machine era, right? And you're supposed to hate the Dodgers. There was one problem. Yeah. My dad grew up in Brooklyn when the Dodgers played there, and so I became a Dodgers fan with my dad until I decided, no, I'm going to rebel against him, and I won't be a Reds fan. I became a San Diego Padres fan. Like in the early mid to mid 80s, I got so like yearbooks, pennants. I got a Padres jersey from back then. I got so much Padres stuff.
Shout out to Tony Gwynn.
So Tony Gwynn was my guy, dude. He was fat and he could hit. I love Tony Gwynn.
Fat late.
Yep, for sure.
Division I hooper, Tony Gwynn.
That's right. He was a San Diego State point guard.
Yeah. I mean, just
believe that if you saw him.
A round mound of athleticism, hits and assists. Man, just got it done.
Literally, that was one of my favorite things I've ever done as a journalist was the Padres came to town. I don't know if he was reaching a milestone, but my sports editor, knew I was a Padres fan. He's like, I don't often do this because I don't like fanboys. You're not a fanboy, but I think you'll enjoy this. He goes, I got a feature I want you to do on Tony Gwynn. So I went down there. He gave me 20, 30 minutes of his time just shooting the crap at his locker.
That's awesome. Cool.
It was very awesome. Cool. As a Kentuckian, right, I'm supposed to, as a Kentucky grad, you're supposed to hate Louisville, right? I don't. I'm sorry, I don't. I just one of the greatest things to me was when they finally had the game in the NCAA tournament in 1983, and you're on pins and needles, and Louisville won in overtime, and it was sad. I mean, I was a college student at UK at the time, so it sucked. My team had a shot to go to the Final Four and maybe win it all. Louisville squelched that. But then the next year they started the rivalry game, the dream game. It was awesome. It was in Rupp Arena. Kentucky dismantled them, and from that point forward, you're like, they need to do this, and they finally did it in football. They always needed to do this in both sports, and I think it's become a great thing for the state.
All right, speaking of the UK Louisville thing, do you like this thing that Pat Kelsey and Mark Pope are doing where they They kind of like each other. They kind of like the other fan bases. They're all getting a lot of compliments from the other. Like I just saw the video Pat Kelsey did where he was going around thanking their season ticket holders. And he's calling them on the phone initially, acting like, hey, I just want to call you myself. And then he walks into their business and is like, hey, I'm here. I'm actually giving you hugs. I'm taking pictures and all that. Then he goes to a bar and does it. And a group of fans are sitting there and he's like, are you going to pay our tab? And he's like, hey, are you Louisville fans? And one guy's like, actually, I'm a Kentucky fan. And he still goes ahead and pays it. And like, they're both into doing kind of those, like, we like the UK fans too, or we like Louisville fans too. Do you like that, or do you think it's bad for the rivalry?
No, I don't mind it. Listen, to me, you don't have to like your. I think some fans take this stuff way too far. Like, I mean, there's legitimate hate. Like, I hope this guy dies kind of hate. No, you don't. I mean, it's a game, for goodness sakes. But there is some of that irrationality to it. But I don't mind where things stand in that regard. I don't. Like, I know. I mean, like, staunch Xavier fan hates UC fan. UC fan hates Xavier fan. But do you really? I mean, maybe you have a common ground with the Bengals.
Yeah. But probably in our culture today and political climates, everything else with social media, we go way too far in those extremes. But I do think the Kelsey and Pope thing happening at the same time is good, because if it was like Calipari and Kelsey, that's not fun, because Calipari doesn't play those games. He's not going to be Mr. Nice Guy with the Louisville fans. But since it is a guy doing it on the other side, it's kind of like, okay, this is like the wholesome era of the rivalry.
And remember, Chris Mack tried to get some not animosity, I guess, but he egged the rivalry on a little bit when he was coach.
Yeah, he's that type of guy. I mean, he would definitely fan the flames and be like, I mean, he has the infamous Eric Wood, the elder guy for the Bills?
Yes.
Yeah, the infamous Eric Wood video where he said he's never going to lose to Louisville, or Kentucky rather. Yeah. What's next? Oh, not sure if this has ever been broached, but what are cargo summertime short pants called? Just that? Or are jorts called summertime jort pants? And do basketball uniforms have jerseys and short pants?
They just have jerseys, in my opinion. I consider the jersey the top and the bottom of a basketball uniform, if you will. But if you want to call it jersey, you can call it jersey top, jersey bottom, but it really just goes by the singular jersey, does it not?
Yeah, but if you tell your players, like, hey, we got two sets of jerseys, maybe you're like, we're going to be wearing the red short pants, or we're going to be wearing the red shorts. It's shorts. Your original thing where gym shorts were called shorts, right?
Correct. That's correct. And the more dressy ones,
dress pants are short pants.
Short pants. Yeah, those are short pants. I still get my family still does not understand that from me. They still think I'm nuts.
No one does.
Now, let me just answer the other part of that. I would say that, summertime cargo. I think I just call them summertime cargo pants. And jorts, I wouldn't even call them anything other than you're stupid if you wear them. I mean, it's that simple.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Okay, here, this is kind of at me. Says, I'm surprised Skinny didn't call you out on your Taco Bell comment. You should put your money where your mouth is and eat it every day. I like 2 or 3 episodes, I guess this is from, where I said that I could eat Taco Bell every day.
Yes, you said.
And this guy was mad that you let that go.
Well, because I wasn't taking you literally that you would. You said you could. I mean,
I didn't make it a challenge, but I think these people think this is like a huge negative, and I don't. I would not be like, oh my God, I have to do that. It would not be a big deal. Yeah,
and I'm trying to look out for, as an older guy, I'm trying to look out for your health, Rick. I mean, I don't need you eating Taco Bell every day. That's not going to probably work out well.
I agree with you there.
Not because you could do it. Like back in my day, playing ball and whatever, I could have probably eaten McDonald's every day, and I would. Today, I'm lucky if I could stop by McDonald's once every 5 months, 6 months, because I know it's not good for me.
Well, here's the thing about Taco Bell that I don't think people realize. They act like it has this weird reputation online, so everyone like it makes you sick or something. But from a health perspective, you're trying to keep. It doesn't have fries or anything. So if you just get like a burrito or whatever, it's an easy way to keep the calories down.
Yeah, or I mean, the hard shell taco is it's corn. It's a cornmeal shell, ground beef. It's a meat. You got some lettuce for the farm part of it. You got a little cheese for the dairy part of it. That doesn't sound unhealthy. Again, do I think I could do that every day? No, I don't. I think I could do that once every couple of weeks. Sure. Maybe you went too far with the every day.
I'll do it. I'm going to do it for the next month. I'll eat Taco Bell every day for the next month, and I'll document it.
If you document
weight gain and all. I'll do it. I'll start today.
I don't want you putting on LBs for this thing.
I will lose weight while I do it.
All right.
I will lose weight while I do it. I will show you it's 7/31. Tomorrow's the 1st, so we'll do it the entire month of August. My whole
Tomorrow's the 1st. Good point.
All right.
And you can get anything you want. So you can mix it up. You can variety it. You can go light one day, heavy one day, as long as it's something from taco. It can't be like just be one taco. It's got to be like a meal of some
I'll eat one meal there every day.
Okay. All right.
Mostly lunches, probably occasionally a dinner. I think people think this is going to be hard. This is not a problem for me. I'm telling you, I will not get tired. I will not gain weight. It'll be fine.
All right. So you do it. Let's ask the person that sent the question in, is a month suffice?
That's what he said.
Okay. He said a month?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right. What's the best concession stand item you've ever had at a sporting event?
Man, Dodger dogs are a real thing. They're good. I mean,
really?
They're you give me a good ballpark hot dog. I don't know why they taste better at the ballpark. They just do. I'm not a big concession. Like for me at the ballpark concession stand wise, it's usually at least a hot dog. And if it was really good, I'll probably go back for a second, and I bring a bag of peanuts. That's pretty much it. Peanuts, and people are going to think this is weird. I sometimes crack the shell. I sometimes don't. I just eat the whole thing.
Yeah, I've done the whole thing.
Probably not good for you to consistently do that, but
it gets in all your teeth.
It does. Yeah. But I at some point, just the effort to keep cracking shells for a peanut or two it's just like the hell with it. Put it in there and go.
Yeah, I agree with you there. That's why I like sunflower seeds. You just throw the whole thing in and crack them while they're in there.
Yeah, like I know the Reds try different ballpark fare, right? Every year they try out our new thing. I don't go to the ballpark for different fare. If I was going to do that, I'll just go to a restaurant and try something different. Ballpark again for me, it's just a good old hot dog.
Well, it's a pain in the ass to try to eat something that's like sloppy or messy while you're at the ballpark.
Yeah, I don't want. I don't even get ballpark nachos, and they're not. When people have them and go, hey, you want one of the nachos? Sure. And you're like, those are good. They're delicious. The cheese.
I love nachos. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, but it's like, I just don't want the messiness of that.
Same. But I would say when I think of like concession stand stuff at sporting events, I don't even think of like pros. I immediately go to like country high school football game where they've got like a walking taco or a kettle corn or something like that. That's where you find the best concession.
Was it Ryle that had the walking taco that was really good? I would tell you this.
Ryle has one. I think Simon Kenton had the kettle corn always. That's good.
Okay. Anderson High School's burger. I don't know why. The Anderson High School burger is outstanding. Oak Hills is pretty good too.
And of course, you got to give a shout out to the Mary Burgers at Covcats baseball field. Those were fantastic.
Yeah, I've had the Mary Burgers. Yeah, those are good too. Those are really good.
So she takes them off the grill and puts them in the Lipton onion soup.
Correct.
Soak them in there. They stay warm and they've got a ton of flavor when they come out. They're good. Yeah.
Those are good. That's a good. I was thinking more college or professional. The one that's interesting to me, the one that people go gaga over. I'm sure you've seen this. I don't know if you've had one or not. You haven't probably been to a lot of Rupp Arena games, but that Rupp Arena vanilla ice cream.
Yeah. What's the deal with that? It's just soft serve?
Yes. And I don't know why everybody goes crazy about it.
Have you had it?
I've not. So it's funny. So a buddy of mine and I went down for the regional semi-regional we went down for regional semi night where Tennessee played. I'm going to butcher this completely. Tennessee was down there. UCLA was down there. Auburn and Creighton were down there. I can't remember at the time I can't remember what the hell the matchups were now. I think it was Auburn and Creighton, Tennessee, UCLA, because Tennessee beat UCLA and Auburn beat Creighton.
Okay.
And so I had a couple of beers and I was going to go down for another beer. And a buddy of mine's like, it was between games, right? And there was some time in between the games. So like, let's just walk around the concourse. I said, concourse. I said, I'm going to get a beer. Finished the beer. I was getting ready to get another one. I said, let's go see what the ice cream line looks like. We go to the ice cream line. It's too long of a wait. He said, I'm going to wait. I said, I'm going to go get another beer then. I don't, because then we kind of went our separate ways. So we went back to our seats. So I don't know if he ended up having the ice cream, but it's crazy how people go gaga for that thing.
They're obsessed. And it's not that I get the idea. Okay, it's good ice cream. That's exciting. I like that. But it's vanilla soft serve. How good could the best vanilla soft serve ice cream possibly be that it would make you wait in line that long?
I'll tell you what I used to be obsessed with, and I don't even check it out anymore. Ameristop's chocolate ice cream soft serve. I don't know why. It was just perfect.
Have you been to the one in Bellevue? The Ameristop in Bellevue?
I've been there, but just to get a beer on the way.
Oh, well, my guy there, he's all like a year or two ago.
They do different flavors, right?
Yeah, he got really into the soft serve. He got two machines and he brings in new flavors like every week and he advertises them on Facebook. They'll do like a chocolate and peanut butter one that's fantastic. He'll mix them together. Does a lot of different flavor combinations. Cheesecake sometimes. Yeah.
I'm aware of that then. Yeah, I haven't been there to get one of those though.
Yeah. Check him out. He's solid. All right, the last one we have is from David, who said, by the way, the pretzel place recommendation was straight money. He went down the pretzel place in Bellevue. I'm telling you, it's amazing. He also asks, did Skinny ever suit up for former Channel 12 Sports Walt Mayer's Hoodoo's B-ball team? Also, rank the best former Channel 12 sports anchors, Dennis Jansen, Don Burrows, Brad Johansson, Ken Brew, Walt Mayer, and Ken Anderson.
No, I did not play for the Hoodoos. That was slightly before my time, I believe. I know Walt. I don't think I crossed paths working with Walt. In fact, I'm almost 100% sure I did not.
So I didn't know who Walt was when I got this question. I Googled him. And the first thing that pops up on YouTube was like 1979 sports report. And it's like Clooney. And then they're like, all right, we're going to sports with Walt Mayer. And Walt's like in the midst of a college basketball barnstorming tour. He's like, we've just been to Ohio State. Today, we're checking out the Indiana Hoosiers with Bob Knight. And then it's like, he's talking about the different names that they've gone through. You know, there's Digger Phelps was coaching Notre Dame. They're talking about Isaiah Thomas at Indiana. They're talking about Clark Kellogg. They're talking about, there's like 5 Hall of Famers that he rattled off in like his short little sports report. And then he's like in the middle of Assembly Hall, just sitting in the bleachers, camera above him, 3 rows. He's like bent sideways with a trench coat on, giving his report. I was like, these guys were really doing it. They've got the full broadcaster voice on. It was pretty cool.
His nickname was the Grand Poobah.
Waltz was?
Yeah, the Grand Poobah.
I didn't realize he was the one. I remember people talking about that back in the day. I didn't know he was the one they called that.
Yes. No. So no, I would tell you this. He grew up in Maysville. I think went to Maysville High School. I'm pretty sure played high school basketball there. He took that stuff serious, man. The Hoodoos.
Oh yeah, the team?
Yes. Oh yeah. He took it.
So what did they do? They like barnstormed and played celebrity games?
Yeah, they play like school faculties and occasionally, firehouses, police station, police.
It's actually not a bad idea in the social media world. Why doesn't someone do that now?
No, and they'd shoot like highlights from it when they did it, just as a kind of a promotional thing, and he took it seriously. All right, so give me the rankings again. Who I got to rank?
We got to rank the best former Channel 12 sports anchors, Dennis Jansen.
Well, I remember the worst is going to be easy. God love him. He tried it. He just wasn't very good at it. Ken Anderson comes in last. Sorry.
Dennis Jansen, Don Burrows, Brad Johansson, Ken Brew, Walt Mayer, and Ken Anderson.
All right, I'm going to go. I thought Brad, because I worked with Brad. I worked with Denny for a little bit at Channel 9. I sports produced there for a couple of years. As a weekend sports producer, and he would come in because he would travel with the Bengals. Denny was amazing. He could come in. This is the old days, and he'd have to do a package on the Bengals game, like instead of just voicing over highlights, they do like a full package, pre-done package, and it was usually 5 minutes. He'd come in with like an hour to spare, bat that thing out on his old typewriter, go do all the voiceover work, and it would be immaculate. I mean, he was good. I'm going Brad number 1, though. I mean, I got my man Dan Horde after the draft. We all go for beers. We call it the best beer of the year. And so I don't even know how we got on this topic. Somebody even asked me maybe the same thing of, who's the best you ever worked with? I said Brad. I said, honestly, I think he's the best in town ever. I said, Dan, no offense. And Dan's the best. He's one of my favorites. He goes, I do take offense. And so I said, I didn't work with you, Dan. I worked with him. And I saw like how smooth he was in setting me up for questions when, after Bengals games, I'd come in and do the sports authority and just how seamlessly he could get in and out of stuff. I just thought he was great. So I'm going to go him 1. I'm going to go Denny 1A. Denny's close. Who we got left?
Don Burrows, Ken Brew, Walt Mayer.
Yeah, unfortunately, Walt's going to come in just above Ken Anderson. Good guy, just didn't. I'll just leave it at that.
Good voice.
Great voice. He was a news guy for a long time.
Yeah, you can hear it.
Yeah, he's a news guy. So I'll go Brew 3rd, Don Burrows 4th. How about that?
All right. I mean, that's a good rankings. Also some good local 12 sports history right there.
There you go. Yep, exactly.
Shout out to David for that question.
I know our executive sports producer, Kevin Barnett, he just loved Walt Mayer. Walt hired him, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize that.
And he's like, I learned so much from that guy. So
wait, what year did Walt leave?
Well, that's a great question, man.
Like 80s, 90s?
In the 90s.
Okay, because that's what I was wondering. If KB got hired by him, I was like, it had to be Maybe he had to be at least out of college, I would think.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was in the 90s. I would just be hazarding, I guess, 96, 97, maybe, somewhere in there.
And then they've cycled through all those guys since then?
Well, more than those guys, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, but I mean, all these names have come since Walt. Was Walt the oldest out of that group, or is Don Burrows?
No, Denny was at Channel 12 in the mid to late 70s into the early 80s, and then went to Channel 9 from there. And so I think he started Channel 9 in 84, 85.
Oh, okay. But I knew Denny when I was a kid, so he lasted much longer than Walt.
Oh, yeah. He lasted a long time.
Yeah. All right, interesting stuff. That's all we got.
All right, good stuff. I appreciate it. Keep those questions coming. Next week at this time, we'll actually be doing this before the Bengals play their first preseason game, but we'll probably be talking about how much the starters might play in that preseason game and much, much more. For Rick Brewing, I'm Richard Skinner. It's been the Skinny Podcast, the weekly Potpourri edition, presented by Blake the Attorney Maislin.